Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and to this Harlequin Codex review. Guest today is Mr. James Ellis, who is one of the patrons on the channel, so thank you very much for your patronage, James.
Pleasure.
And of course, welcome. We are going to be covering Harlequins. James is a massive Harlequin fan. I've played Harlequins since they dropped in 7th, and I've absolutely loved them. And it's great to see, especially with the mask forms, the stratagems and the relics and everything. Lots of nods back to 7th edition and lots of fun, fluffy stuff. So, mask forms. James has made a note of all of this, so we're going to go through everything in order. But the mask forms are probably some of the best stuff that I've seen. They're all very, very thematic. Midnight Sorrow. The Midnight Sorrow units from this form can move an additional D6 when they fall back. In addition, it can consolidate up to 6 inches.
I like this one.
I think this one's good.
Yeah, this is going to be the one that surprises people.
Because of the flip belts. Because of flip belts. You basically ignore models and terrain when you move.
Yeah.
And
you could really screw up a guard gun line.
Absolutely, you can just charge straight through. I remember playing against Chris Tutel, who won No Retreat 5 with the Zinch Demon spam. Teos wasn't in the list at that point, but I charged through the Brimstones to get to the Changeling. Yeah,
but this can put you near a character, near their big artillery pieces, near anything that throws out weight of fire that you want to choke up. I think it's going to be really. I think you'll see a lot of this in a double battalion. You'll be seeing one of this and one of the other ones.
Yeah, I think the consolidated 6 inches, you can absolutely wrap around characters and stop them from falling back. And I think that's mega powerful. I mean, obviously things with fly can still get out, but
you think about a big troop. If you take a big troop, you could, in theory, wrap around a vehicle, blow it up, and kill everybody if you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you get close enough initially. If you do use the Forbidden Web where stratagem to deploy within an inch and you've got a silly opponent, you can easily charge all the way around them and stop the guys getting out. And I'll hold my hands up right. I was a dirty man and did this to Henny at No Retreat. He put 2 wave serpents right next to each other in the middle and I wrapped him. He had 10 Wraith in there. What was I going to do? But yeah, I think this one's going to be very, very powerful simply because of how far you can consolidate. And of course, don't forget, Rising Crescendo, Harlequins can fall back, still shoot, still charge. You can move an additional D6 when you fall back. Essentially, that's allowing you to almost advance when you fall back, which it's a thing in Sigmar. You can do it in Sigmar, but not in 40k. So the fact that you can suddenly move at minimum 9 when you fall back, moving straight over models and terrain because of the flip belts, and then all of a sudden recharging, but then consolidating an extra 6 inches. Yeah. This one, I agree with James, you're absolutely going to see a lot of Horde Harlequins played with this.
Oh, it's going to be, it potentially can be, it could ruin someone's day.
Yeah. I would like to see a competent Harlequin player take this against the guard gun line.
Yeah, I think and again, it's a luck game, it's a dice game. You got to get a bit lucky, but I reckon you could severely curtail the return fire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The next one is the Veiled Path. At the start of each fight phase, roll 2 dice, discarding the highest. For the rest of the phase, any to hit rolls of that dice number that target that unit before modifiers automatically fail. So that's very Zinchy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, it's fluffy. And potentially you're going to have games where it stops so many things dying, and you're going to have games where you still get slaughtered. But I don't think you'll see it like competitively. I don't think you'll see it a hell of a lot. I think again, it may be one of those that people take. Because you imagine like Lawrence taking it. Yeah, what he rolls whatever he wants anyway, so it'll do a lot good. But you're going to see it every now and again. But compared to a couple of the others, it's nowhere near strong enough to be a contender for a regular outing, I don't think.
But look at it this way, right? If you're rolling 2 dice and picking the lowest, yes, you might get a 1 or a 2, but the chances are you're going to roll on average a 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
That means, what is it, 16% of the attacks that are coming in against you aren't hitting, right? If you've got a smart and you've got a Shadow Sea there, you're at -1 to wound anyway, which means at best you're wounding on 3s.
I think it needs a bit of play testing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you've got your 4 invulnerable save.
Yeah.
Combine that with the Sighted Powers, which we'll discuss later for the to hit modifiers.
Yep.
I think this one, it's very defensive. It keeps you alive a lot longer than what you would normally expect.
Unless you roll lots of 1s and 2s.
Yeah. Next one we've got is Frozen Stars. +1 attack until the end of the phase in the turn in which you charge. Now, you might think, +1 attack? Nah, it's not great. When you consider every Harlequin has 4 attacks, suddenly they've now got 5. And anyone who's playing Harlequins knows that every single attack matters.
Yeah.
Every single hit and wound that you get through makes a massive difference, because as soon as you lose one guy, that's a massive chunk of your damage output gone. So I do like this one. Obviously, couple that with the Sighted Powers to protect yourself as well. I think that's very cool. It's very fluffy. The next one we've got, though, is the Soaring Spite. I like this one, and this is the one I've played in the Battle Report, which it's either up now or it'll be up very shortly at the point of release of this video. Models that have the fly keyword or embarked on units which have the fly keyword treat their pistols as Assault 1, whilst embarked on the transport if it advanced. Also, assault weapons on units with fly don't get a penalty for advancing. Aiming pistol sideways is not optional. Right, so basically you don't get the penalty for advancing, and -1 to hit. Now, this is big, considering that the haywire cannons and the prismatic cannons are now assault weapons. Now, when Warhammer Community put out what each of these did, I read down them, I was just like, cool, cool, cool. And this one was at the bottom, I was like, that's the one I'm playing. This one just popped straight out at me, I was like, yeah, I love it. I'm going to move a Starweaver, what are the moves, 16? And then advance 6, I'm going to move a Starweaver 22 inches and pop six fusion pistols straight out the side.
Yep.
Absolutely. The maneuverability for mechanized Harlequins in this list is really good, and I think this is why I've gone to keep me Starweavers in, me Voidweavers in. In this kind of list, I think Starweavers and bikes still matter. For example, in the Midnight Sorrow, I think you want more troops.
Yeah.
So again, very, very fluffy.
This is a powerful one, this one.
It is, absolutely. Especially when we get to the Warlord trait and one of the relics later on. You can get something insane like, what was it, a 28-inch moving Starweaver. Then your Warlord can jump out, do some damage, and then consolidate back into the transport. Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah.
The next one we've got is the Dreaming Shadow, Samba Sentinels. When a unit from this form fails morale test, only one model runs. In addition, each time a unit with this form is slain or flees, roll a d6 before removing the model. On a 4+, that model can either shoot with one of its ranged weapons if it was a shooting phase, or make a single attack as if it was the fight phase. Well,
that's not terrible.
No, it's basically the chapter, the Primaris Ancient.
Yep.
But you've got the army wide. Notice it says a model with that rule, which also means Void Weavers.
Yep.
Which can only fire one weapon.
Still
prismatic cannon or haywire cannon, popping, last couple of shots at that vehicle that you need rid of.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's very, very cool, but I don't know how you would build a list around this.
Well, you'd want big squads. You'd want big squads of infantry to make use of the morale, really, if you're going to use that side of it.
Yeah.
then you're only losing one. But then, yeah, if you're getting mown down, losing, well, you still could be potentially 2 or 3 models going, I guess. So it might.
The problem I see with this is mobility, right?
Yep.
Because if you take a big unit, you can't deliver them where you want them. Even if you play the webway assault stratagem, you can't get in range with the fusion pistols.
Yeah.
And whilst the shouting pistol can get within range, let's face it, a 4+ to fire a shouting pistol, it's a bit not really worth it.
No, not at all.
Now, I imagine this one being played quite heavily with Yanari. Because obviously Soul Burst and oh look, I'm going to shoot again when I die. So I think this is definitely the most technical of the mask forms. So it'll be interesting to see who actually comes out with some cool lists for this one. Yeah,
because you might get surprised actually with what they do with it. That's the thing with these; they're still so new. No one's really play tested. They've play tested some of the obvious ones, but a lot of the others haven't been touched yet. So it's certainly be interesting to get a few games with some of the less obvious ones to see what they do.
Absolutely. And then the last one is the Silent Shroud, Dance of Nightmares Made Flesh. Enemies have -1 leadership to within 6 inches of any of your units. Additionally, enemies must roll 2 dice in the morale phase and use the highest one.
This can be good with all your leadership modifiers you can put on an enemy unit. This could be, again, especially if you're going up against horde armies or even elite armies. If you do enough damage to them with that minus leadership, you can force a few expensive models to run away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you lose. Say you've got a 5-man custodian, you manage to get one to run away. Or Terminators, or something like that, you know.
Absolutely worth it. Now, I think, whilst this is cool, I think any leadership debuffs, you've got to build your army around it.
Yep.
It can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to play that one just because. It's the same with the Dark Eldar Covens. I'm forgetting the name of the one with the minus leadership. But if you're going down that route, you need to build around that. It's not something you can just kind of tack on.
It's the Dark Creed Homunculus Coven.
Yeah, that's the one.
You're able to drop enemy leadership by as much as -9.
All together. No, I don't think you can do it just with them.
No, but with everything, we're doing a lot of different things. You can get it. Which is, if everything goes your way, you do that to someone, they're going to go home crying.
Unless, of course, you end up facing Nyandon.
Yeah.
Or Tyranids.
Yeah. Again, there's certain things that's gonna counter that nicely.
Yeah.
And you're like,
last week when I played the Deathwatch versus Tyranids, I really wanted to put a Reaver in my Primaris squad because of the -1 leadership thing, and then the shock grenades. And I was just like, there's absolutely no point taking a Reaver against Tyranids because the fields.
Yeah.
So. Again, it's situational. Depends on who you're playing against, really. But
you're not going to want this in pretty much tournament play because you're going to come up against something that can ignore it. But if you're going up against your mate who's got guard or anything else, really, orcs that can't counter it as easily.
Yeah,
you're going to take you've got the potential to take it, and because up against horde armies, I think that they can struggle, the Harlequins, because of the lack, unless you build it exactly right, the lack of DACA or have allies in. So it gives you the potential to do a fair bit of damage to a couple of big mobs of orcs and then make a lot run away and give you a fighting chance.
Yeah, Reese actually challenged me Harlequins with these orcs, and I was like, as much as I'm up for a game with you, Reese, no offence, not with the Harlequins. Because you'll steamroll us with the amount of dice that you've got. I physically cannot deal with that many orcs.
Yeah.
Not when I've got 18 guys running around with a 4-pin runnable and that's it. So I think with this one is where you're going to see I don't want to say super armies, but I think you'll see a detachment of this because -1 leadership from that. The Shadow Seer has a power that I think gives -1 leadership. The Death Jester is an additional -2. You combine that with the Dark Creed for another -3, You take a Hemlock, that's another -2. And I'm sure Eldar have got an additional psychic power. Is it Mind War?
Yeah.
Might be Mind War. And then I'm sure the Dark Eldar have artifacts in there that's an additional minus leadership as well.
That's really good. It's worth playing. I'd like to see you play that. Work out a list.
I'll try. Well, I don't have a Hemlock, so it'll have to be a Crimson Hunter. It's really weird though, right? Because I used to run back in 7th, and I had a 2,500 point army, right? That I never lost a game with. It was when the Eldar Codex came out and Wraith Knights were like unkillable because they were gargantuans, and I was just like, right, how can I kill it? And I saw a guy play it against Steve on Mini Wargame, and do you know the guy with the actually he looks like you, and he drinks lots of coffee. He drinks coffee all the time, and he's got loads of random armies that he turns up with.
Oh, probably, yeah. Cause there's a few that turn up a lot. I do like their stuff. Yeah, I probably
he always plays Steve, and it was when Harlequins had just come out, and he took the Mask of Secrets for -2 leadership. He took the Death Jester, and then all of the Coven stuff from Dark Eldar had -1 or 2 leadership for Freakish Spectacle, and then there was something else. And then he did Mirror of Minds, which is where you roll off and add your leaderships, and if you roll equal to or better than your opponent, they take a wound.
Yeah.
Now I worked it out, right? Oh, that was it. It was the Armor of Misery on the Dark Eldar Archon, and in a 12-inch bubble, I could have someone at -3 leadership. In a 6-inch bubble, I could have someone at -5. Now. Shadowseer was leadership 10. Nothing's better than leadership 10. So if you have -5 on someone, the leadership 5, even if you roll a 6 on the dice, it's 11. If I roll a 1, that's 11. You can't beat me, so just remove your model. And I actually pulled that off in a tournament against Sean's Wraith Knight. He wasn't. I got first blood for it actually in the first psychic phase of the game.
That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points gone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, no, it was only 300 then.
Oh, of course, they were cheap then, weren't they?
Yeah. Anyway, that was 7th edition. Psychic Shriek on top of that was doing a lot of damage as well.
Yeah.
Back to 8th. So I think you're going to see that. I think you see the Silent Shroud in soup armies. When I say soup, you're still going to see 3 separate detachments, obviously, to get the rules as per the new big FAQ. But I think that's what you're going to see there. Yeah,
I think it's got a lot of potential. I mean, they've when I initially went through the mask traits, I was like, well, oh, that looks good. That looks, But when you just go back and look at them again, you're like, actually, read it properly. Think about what you can do with it. There's some really great options. And there's some really subtle options. They're not like, oh, you're going to get all this, you're going to do this, you're going to make this unkillable. But they're subtle, and they fit with the narrative of Harlequins really well. In that regard, I think they've done well by them. Yeah. Nothing's OP. Everything, there's potential everywhere. I mean, some of them obviously less so, but there is still potential everywhere.
The important thing is, right, and I was talking to, who was I talking about this? I think I was talking to Phil about it, actually, because I met up with him and Jacob at the weekend, and Lucy was playing Age of Sigmar. It's nice that you don't see the repetitive builds that you saw in 7th.
Yeah.
If you play against Tau, chances are you're going to get Tau set, because there's so many cool characters. But Borkhan's really good with Fire Warriors. You can get them rapid firing in 22 inches.
Borkhan is very, very good, and also it with the Yavara, it increases the range on that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, the flamer means you can deep strike in and still hit stuff with a flamer.
That's pretty good.
And then the Storm Surge's blast cannon, the one that gets stronger the shorter range it is increased by 6. But not just that, there's so many different ways to play. Like if you look at Admech, you could go Vanguard heavy and ignore the assault penalty. Yeah. You can go Mars with Call. Even with Eldar, there's so many different ways to play even the same army. I mean,
I like it.
Tyranids, for example, right? If you the one where you get to reroll once to hit or wound if you outnumber the opponent, everyone's going to take hordes. great. That's the way I like to play Tyranids.
Well, that's Tyranids. The Tyranids are a horde army. In the fluff, they're a horde army. That's what they're supposed to do. But it doesn't make sense that you've got 7 hive tyrants flying about. It's just not right.
No.
You know, and what the good thing is, you know, GW are looking at stuff like that, and they're, as soon as something ridiculous like that happens, they're like, no.
Commander spam.
Right. Yep. And the moaning when it happens because they can't take the new favourite net list.
Yeah.
But then think about it. Look at your army. Look through. There's gems in everybody's army. There is no such thing. Like even Grey Knights can be played competitively.
Mm-hmm.
They can still do it.
It's just nice that if you say, right, I'm playing against Tau in this next tournament game. Right, cool. You're probably not going to see 8 Riptides. You won't anyway because of rule of 3. But do you know what I mean? There's so many variations to build different armies. You can't just say, right, I'm going up against Tyranids. Oh, great, 7 Flying Hive Tyrants. That's all you saw in 7th. Now you could see Horde. You could see Hive Guard are very good. Phil loves his Zoanthropes and Pyrovores. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different versatilities, and it's nice that they've done this.
And it's nice they're on the ball and cutting out the stupidness that people are coming up with. Yeah, I know, and everybody knows that the rules are made to be bent, and there's little ways that you can optimise everything and take the best of everything, but it doesn't fit with the narrative of the game. And I guess I know it's tournament play and it is competitive, but I still think there should be some narrative involved in competitive play.
And I think that's the best thing about having the Tau Sept or the Mask forms. You're not going to see exactly the same list for every of the same army.
Or you're going to see when with Eldar everyone was taking Aliotic. Yeah, and then you've got Lawrence comes out with Ulthuan, and we're smashing people with it.
Yeah.
Well, you're smashing people with Guardians? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was a powerful build. You know, and everyone's going, the 6 save a wound at the end isn't going to make any difference. And he's consistently rolling and saving. And because he was putting the wounds on the gun platforms, which have a higher save anyway, it was really powerful. You know, and it took a lot of people by surprise.
Absolutely. Right. That's enough about spam. Let's move on to psychic powers. So, Mirror of Mind's power stayed the same, but it came down to casting value 7. It used to be 8. It was very hard to get off, and basically you roll a dice, and if you and your opponent both roll a dice, and if you equal to or beat your opponent, the opponent takes a mortal wound, and you continue rolling until they beat you. We've still got Fog of Dreams. You target an enemy unit, and they must subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target a Harlequin infantry unit. So that's one of the debuffs that I mentioned about the earlier on, where you roll 2 dice. It basically helps keep your squad alive longer. Now it says subtract 1 from all hit rolls. That means they're shooting as well. If they shoot your troops, they're at -1 to hit.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? We've got Twilight Pathways, which is essentially lets you move a Harlequin unit again. You have to
that reduce casting value?
It's now 6.
Yeah.
Much better. 7 was... sorry, it still was 6 before. Interesting fact, I won a game with this. It was at no retreat against Matthew Johnston from Australia. He had 12 Necron Wraiths, 30 Scarabs, 40 Warriors and 10 Immortals. And it was the Relic, and it was slap bang in the middle of the table, and I was going first, and I was like, right, I know exactly what I'm doing. Solitaire, hidden, in case he went first. First turn, 12 inches plus D6 straight forward, through everybody else, grab the Relic. Advance the Shadow Seer up straight behind him to be within 3 inches. Twilight Pathways, he ran back. Rest of the army in front of him. And I ran for the whole game and won. But yeah.
I think Twilight Pathways is still viable with the FAQ. It's just, it's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
but it's still, that's the same with everything. I think you can still definitely use it.
Well, that's one of the few things that can get you. I mean, the Harlequins have got the speed to get into the enemy's deployments on turn 1. That can get you even further. If you're playing Hammer and Anvil and you start at the back of the board, realistically, you can get, especially if you do it on Skyweavers, massively, massively further forward. I mean, I think they've got a 16-inch move plus auto 6.
Yeah.
That's 22 inches. Cast Twilight Pathways, move another 22. That's 44-inch movement, then charge. So Twilight Pathways is a brilliant power. Another one to help keep you alive is Veil of Tears. Select an infantry unit, so one of your infantry units, and they've got -1 to hit them. So stack that with Fog of Dreams, means that they're at -2. Of course, then if you've got any of the other, I can't even remember the name of that form now. Which form was it?
The
Veiled Path. The Veiled Path. Obviously, that's going to keep them alive even longer. And that is casting value of 7. So it's nice that nothing's stupidly high.
Yeah.
But another one to keep people alive even longer. Bearing in mind that the Shadow Seer has -1 to wound, in addition to these - to hit modifiers in a 6-inch bubble. Webweird Dance, set casting value of 7, gives a 6-inch aura of 6 up, feel no pain, essentially. So all of a sudden, a unit is at least -1 or -2 to hit. You're at -1 to wound them. They've got a 4 invulnerable save, followed by a 6 up, feel no pain.
Put that on a big squad of bikes or a big squad of troop.
Yeah.
It makes them much more survivable.
Again, but on top of that, though, James, enhanced reflexes. There's another -1.
Yeah.
So
there's something you can do with one of the relics. If you combine, we'll talk about it in a bit, but you can combine it with Veil, Fog, and the reflexes, and it does really nasty things to people.
Oh, yeah, but it bounces mortal wounds back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you miss.
On a 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, but then not just that. What happens if you take Veiled Path and you roll a 5 and a 6? All of a sudden, any hits of a 1 to 5 are bouncing mortal wounds back.
It can be really unpleasant.
Yeah, it's nasty. But not just that, Prismatic Blur, right? So you've got -4 to hit, or -3 to hit. You're ignoring a 5 or a 6 potentially with a Veiled Path. You then got a 3 up in run because of Prismatic Blur. You've then got a 6 up feel no pain, and you're at -1 to wound. There is a massive amount of ways to buff and play Harlequins. There's so many different ways to actually play them. And I feel like we do have a very, very good selection of stratagems and warlord traits, and it's almost overwhelming with which way do I want to build it.
Yeah, which is nice. It's nice to have that as an option, not just, right, Grey Knight's pretty much one build at the moment.
It's the same with Blood Angels. You build a 30 army assault base, so you've got Sanguinary Guard or Death Company. You've got a 30 army as filler, which is your Scout and your Tactical Marines. And then you've got your gun line, which I don't like.
Or you take Imperial Guard with them as well, cheap infantry as a screen, and you'd have the elite side of it.
Yeah, but that's not Blood Angels.
Although you can kind of get away with it with Astartes and Guard, because they do fight together. So that one I always kind of... I'm more tolerant of than the 7 High Tyrants or Gilliman and just Razorbacks and a few scouts. That's a bit daft. But, when it was the Storm Ravens, 5 Storm Ravens and a couple of assassins and stuff. Yeah, right, that's silly.
So, moving on to Warlord traits, we've got one for reroll hit rolls, wound rolls, and damage rolls of a 1 for your Warlord. It's okay.
Yep.
If you're taking that on a Troop Master anyway, he's re-rolling his failed wounds, but re-rolling his hit and his damage of a 1 is pretty cool, but it gives him a 3 up in combat as well. The next one, we've got add 2 to the movement and 1 to the consolidation, heroic intervention and stuff like that as well. That would be very handy with that 6-inch Consolidator and D6 fallback. Because you're adding 2 and 1 to each of those respectively.
Yeah.
Combined later on, actually, there's a stratagem that allows you Heroic Intervention 6 inches. That'll give him 7. That'll give him a 7-inch Heroic Intervention. The next one, I like this one. I think with Harlequins, you want to be in combat, right? It's a 6-inch aura of reroll failed charges.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's very, very good.
The next one, Player of Twilight. Once per battle, you get a free reroll. But then, essentially, this is the command point farming one. Roll a D6 whenever you or your opponent use a stratagem. Now, normally it would say on the roll of a 6 or a 5, you either get a command point or you get that many command points. What you do with this one is you roll the dice when you or your opponent uses it, and if you roll the same number as the amount of command points that cost you to use, you get that many command points.
It's good. I like it.
But not just that, it's not just on the roll of a 6.
Yeah.
They've made it Harlequin unique by saying you roll the same.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's well thought out. It's got about the same odds of of it coming off. So
1 in 6 chance still. But the good thing with that is, James, you know how bad I roll.
I know. So you like the beard needs to play it as well, doesn't he? Because he always rolls.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, do you know what it is, right? I genuinely just roll bad, right? Because whenever I play a Phil, people comment on videos and say, "Oh, he's got rigged dice. He's got rigged dice." He doesn't. He's even used my dice.
He rolls hot a lot.
A lot. He's used my dice. I mean, I don't know if you watched the Age of Sigmar battle report when I was playing against Bryn, and Phil come over and he was like, "I've just bought some Custodes dice. This is how you roll it. Bang, double 6." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So yeah, to the point where obviously I use coloured dice to represent whatever colour or theme army I'm using.
Yeah.
Even to the point where, like at Warhammer Worlds, I don't know if you've watched that yet. That'll be out next week. It's the Four Gods of Chaos versus Tony's Imperium.
Oh no, I've not seen that. I want to watch that one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, you've got access to that now. So patrons, little plug here by the way. Patrons do get 1 week early access to battle reports. So James has got access to that one right now. But it'll be out next week for you guys. Basically, Phil used my green and my blue dice for his Nurgle and Zinch. Yet he still rolls incredibly hot. Yet as soon as I use my green dice or my blue dice, I roll like crap. So I think that I might get away with that one actually.
Yeah, that might be quite good. It's certainly it's worth taking. I've seen a couple of people use it and they've got back. Like they just literally used their last one and then rolled a 2 on a 2 command point and got 2 command points back. Brilliant. Whoop.
In fairness, I rolled very hot with me Death Watch last week for the getting command points back. Nearly everyone I spent, I got it back every time, and I was like, yes.
And you're going to get games where you get that, and you're going to get games where you get nothing. It's what happens, you know.
That game especially as well, Phil got so lucky with his 6-ups for his Leviathan trait. That Gene Stealer Brewlord should have been dead turn 1. Absolutely should have been. Anyway, rest of the Warlord traits. Frozen Stars. 6-up feel no pain against the last wound taken if within 6 inches of the Warlord. So essentially, it's like that Admech one where it's the last wound. So my Void Weaver has lost 5 wounds. It's now on the last one. Then I get a 6-up. It's okay. But
it's okay.
If you go troop heavy, it's cool. But I don't like it for the vehicles. For like Admech, I'm gonna run bots and onagers. It's not worth it. Yeah. So I think if you're going troop heavy, that one's cool. Yeah. Veiled Path is an interesting one. Your Warlord can use the Webway Assault stratagem essentially, but he just gets it for his Warlord trait. Yeah. But you can actually use it twice. Yeah. So what that means is you can spend 2 command points to put 2 units in, or you can spend 4 to put 3 in, or 6 to put 4 in. Where normally you can only put a maximum of 2. Granted, you still need half of your army on the board.
You still doable.
But again, do you really want that? Because you're still landing 9 inches away from the enemy when you do place them.
It's situational, isn't it? There may be games where you think, actually, there's a chance I could get a bit butchered. Let me keep a couple of extra things off that I might not necessarily want out straight away. But I don't think it's one you're going to see a hell of a lot.
No. The next one is for what is it? The Dreaming Shadow. Sombra Sentinels triggers on a 3+ instead of a 4+. So I think if you're going that route and you're playing that mask, that's the Warlord trait to take. Definitely. Absolutely. The Soaring Spite one. The Warlord can disembark after the transport has moved.
This could be good.
Now, I'm going to jump ahead slightly now and mention the Relic here. It was it Falchu's Talon, Soaring Spite only. Move an additional 6 inches. The transport doesn't explode, and you don't roll to lose models when they get out. So suddenly you've got a Star Weaver that's moving 16, plus 6 because of blur of colour, plus 6 because of that, which means you're moving, what's that, 16 plus another 12, 28 inches. Then you're still popping your fusion pistols.
And also, don't forget, there's the other one, the other relic. Was it the Star Mist Remnant or something?
Yeah.
That gives you a 3+ invulnerable against shooting, and also no Overwatch if you charge something.
It's great. There's so many cool relics, actually, that are really, really good.
How frustrating with that if you charged a Troop Master into a big group of flamer-wielding aggressors?
Well,
nothing from you. Nothing from you. You wait. You wait until my boys are in and ruin your day.
Funnily enough, right, I want to get a Harlequin versus Deathwatch game and hopefully another James, because, you know, I know like 80 Jameses.
We're very common.
You're the best one, of course.
I think so.
Against Deathwatch, and like I am charging my Solitaire into that squad of 4 shotguns and 4 frag cannons. Oh, what's that?
He's going in dancing as well. He's going in dancing. He don't care.
Oh, what's that? Sorry, 8d6 automatic hits with the frag cannons and 4d6 with a shotgun. No,
not happening, buddy.
No,
not happening.
The last Warlord trait was the Silent Shroud, called the Final Joke. If the Warlord is slain, roll a dice. And on a 2+, the model that's slain, it suffers D3 mortal wounds, and on a 6, it's D6. It's okay, but are you really going to take that over the others?
No.
No.
Well, no, you're not. So it's not really worth it, is it?
No. So relics, Mask of Secrets. The bearer has +1 leadership and -1 leadership within 6 inches on the enemies. So again, this goes back to the stacking the leadership.
Yeah.
You really have to commit to the Silent Shroud if that's the route that you're going. You need to take all of them things.
Yeah.
To maximise the whole effect of everything that you've got going on.
But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Again, it's situational. If you're going up against, like we said, horde armies, if you do it right, it can be devastating. I think you can cause so many things just to go home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think again, people need to play test it to see how good it actually is. But yeah, if you do it totally right, it's going to be amazing.
James's dog has just walked on camera.
I know, I'm just slightly concerned he's going to do something really unpleasant on my carpet that I'm going to have to punish him for. What are you doing?
He is sniffing rather precariously.
Can we pause while I stick him outside? Oh, no, he's laying down. He's fine, he's just laying down. Okay.
Right, so little cameo actually on the subject of dogs. So me and Lucy don't actually live together, as much as it may seem that we do, but her dogs stayed here on Saturday because her parents were going away on Sunday morning and she didn't want to leave them. And I had this great idea. Me and Lucy want to do a Q&A, but it's when she's well enough to do it, right? And I was like, what we should do is get Stella and Murphy sat next to each other, right? Film it and basically do voiceovers of them asking for questions about like what the favourite chew toy is, what the favourite food is.
I like it. No, do it.
So stay tuned because you might get that soon. So the next relic is the Storied Sword. It allows you to reroll failed hits and it's D3 damage.
Good.
If you're going against Marines, I think that's pretty good. The only issue with it, I think it should have been +1 strength.
I thought it was +1 strength.
I might have not made a note of that then.
I think it's +1 strength, -3 AP, and D3 damage.
Right, if it's +1 strength, I would possibly stick that on a Troop Master and go straight for Marines with it. Because, let's face it, Troop Master's got, what, 5 attacks? You know, Storied Sword, you're re-rolling hits because you're hitting on 2s. You're re-rolling your 1s anyway. You're then wounding on 4s, re-rolling because of your own trait. -3, D3 damage. He could even make a mess of a Primaris squad. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, you roll well, that's a lot of dead Marines.
The next one is the Suit of Hidden Knives.
I like.
This is the one that we mentioned, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, for each hit roll of a 1 made against the wearer in the fight phase, roll a dice. On a 2+, the person that was making the attack takes a mortal wound. So, let's actually write... I'm going to write this down, actually, because I'm going to end up forgetting it. But, all the minus modifiers. So, enhanced reflexes.
Yeah.
That's a -1. You've then got Fog of Dreams.
Yeah.
Is -1.
Veil of Tears.
Is another -1. Wasn't there then -1 for Silent Shroud?
Yep.
Oh no, sorry, that's leadership.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry, it is.
I'm sure there's something else.
But at the very least, you're talking they're taking wounds on a 1 to 4.
Yeah.
At the very least.
And then, of course, if you run the which one was it? Veiled Path. If you do roll a 5 or 6 as your lowest, they're missing as well.
Yeah.
Combine that, like I said previously, with if you've got Prismatic Blurring effect, that's a 3-up invulnerable. -1 to wound because of the Shadow Seer, and then potentially a 6-up feel no pain.
You go up against some heavy hitters.
Terminators.
Clearly, they're going to have some re-rolls, probably of their own, but still, you know, they're 1, 2, 3 on a 1 to 5. They're taking mortal wounds.
Don't forget, though, obviously, it's re-rolls then modifiers. So if someone hits you with a power fist, there's a further -1.
Yep.
So potentially you can be bouncing wounds back on a 5 here, right? So Terminator squad charges your Troop Master, right?
Yep.
Terminator's got 2 wounds. You're bouncing mortal wounds back. They've got what, 2, 3 attacks, depending on what they are. Paladins or normal Terminators. You've got a minimum 2 attacks.
Yeah.
So 5 Terminators are going to hit you. The chances are 2 or 3 are going to make it out because of the misses, and then you might take damage depending on if the others actually hit, if they wound because of the -1, because even power fists are only wounding you on 3s if it's a Shadow Seer. Then you've got a 4 or 3 up invuln, and then you might have your 6-up damage.
Yeah. I mean, you could. In fairness, you could do a lot of damage to one of the Mortarium or someone like that. Mm-hmm. You get lucky, you're probably going to lose him, but you could still take half the wounds back off Mortarium.
Oh, yeah.
You get it right. Again, it's slightly situational. You've got a lot to get right, but you can still get it on a 1, 2, or 3.
Now, I should have took this against Lucy in our game, actually, because Slanesh Demon Princes can be horrible, and I'll tell you why. Dual Talons, 7 attacks, right?
Yep.
Warlord trait gets you +1 attack, and for each enemy character you kill, you get an additional +1. And then, that's the artifact. And then the Warlord trait, you can have an additional D3 attacks when you charge.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's mean.
Yes. Very mean.
That's
so
hard.
You do that to a Demon Prince, and he's missing on 2, 3s, and 4s, bouncing back.
If you get it right, if you go down,
the Demon Prince,
you've already done 1 wound.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you attack back, you're probably going to kill him.
This combo is going to seriously annoy some people.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to really upset, and what I hope is you're going to get someone who's really smug, and then they're going to do it and go, oh, here's Mortarion, and he's going to hit you, and you're like, well, yeah, he's killed my guy, but he's on 2 wounds. He was full. So, yeah. It's gone well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do.
It's a good trade-off. It's a good trade-off. I mean, I know you could lose him, but it's a good trade-off if you throw him into something. Go right. Good chance I'm going to die, but I need to take this guy out, or at least I need to severely damage him. Knight, chuck it into a knight.
Look at it this way, right? You brawl out on a troop master, right?
Mm.
If he's wounded, chuck him straight at the biggest thing going, right?
Yeah.
Get your attacks off. Chances are, a troop master with a kiss, you might get, what, 4 or 5 wounds through on average with your rerolls and stuff. And then if it's not dead, they have to attack you back.
Yeah.
And then, oh look, you're on like 4 wounds after I've attacked you. Now you're dead because you attacked me.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of my favourite of the 2 combos that I've found that I think is. I'm certainly looking forward to playing it. I think you've got to be careful. I think when you play it at your local friendly place.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, though. There's so many different ways that you can play Harlequins, and there's so many goodies. It's just like, what do I really want to do? Yeah,
definitely. I think it's that. The more I sort of look into them, the more I think a savvy player it can do them competitively.
Mm-hmm.
As a standalone, I think they could do it as a standalone if you're very good. I think it's better to do it with somebody, but you could do it.
Yeah, definitely. The next one that we've got is the Crescendo, which I think was pistol 5 minus 2 damage.
Yeah, it's D6 shots, 2 damage minus 3 AP. Range 12. So, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. There's better things to take.
Absolutely. For example, the Star Mist Raiment. 3+ invulnerable when they advance, and you can't overwatch them. Oh, look, my Solitaire has just blitzed. It's now moving 12 plus 3d6 and charging, and you can't overwatch.
Anything with flamers. You got Yavara. That's pretty. Oh, what did it do? Nothing. Did nothing. Right, and everyone else comes in after it and smashes it.
The next one is, to be honest, I think that one, there's so many really cool relics, right? I see people spending command points to take extra relics, and I'll hold my hands up. I've done it.
You're going to. I watched a game today where they spent 3 command points on relics.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's worth the expenditure massively.
This is one of the boots.
The return you get on them is you're picking the right ones, obviously, but the return you get on them is significant.
This is one of the books where normally there's one relic that stands out more than the others, right?
Yeah.
This is one book where it's like, you know what? There's like 4 really cool ones.
And there's other ones that are like narrative-wise you're going to take for fun, and there's ones that you're going to take with your mate just for a laugh. You know, the relics are brilliant. I think they've done a really good. Like, what is it with the Space Marines? You've got like about 2 relics that are any good, really.
Well, funnily enough, with the Blood Angels, you either take Wings of Sanguinius, which is the jump pack for no Overwatch and reroll charges. And you take the Banner of Sacrifice, which is a 5-up feel no pain. And I always take both. There's no reason not to. But there was a reason behind this story. When me and Phil recorded 3 1,000-point games in one night, and basically we just...
I remember that. It was good.
We held the camera and we just bashed the game out. We didn't even cut it. I just edited it raw. And do you know what? A lot of people loved that, actually.
I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed all of them. They were really good fun.
So, you know the captain that took the Relic Power Sword?
Yeah.
Can you remember what he did to the Bloodthirster?
No.
Okay, so it's a Power Sword. Okay? If you hit a monster with a Power Sword, it does D3 wounds instead of 1. If you hit a demon monster with it, it does D6 wounds.
Oh dear.
Now, a captain's hitting on 2s with a Power Sword.
Yeah.
And re-rolling 1s. Now, Blood Angels, Strength 4, means you wound on 5s, but because of the Red Thirst, you wound on 4s. And I happen to have a Sanguinary Ancient nearby, which let me re-roll the 1s. Phil then proceeded to fail 4 invulnerable saves, despite him having the Armour of Scorn. And then I proceeded to roll my damage. And I rolled 3 6s and a 5.
Phil cried like a baby.
Yes, but like you're never going to take that sword.
No.
Ever.
No.
And it was a 1,000-point ridiculous game, and I was just like, you've got one demon monster on the board, Howie, let's have it. And I did that, and it was so funny. But yeah, the relics are absolutely phenomenal. The next one is the God's Eye. The Laughing God's Eye. Pass morale within 6 inches and 6 up to ignore mortal wounds in the psychic phase. If you're going against Grey Knights or Thousand Suns, I think it's decent.
Yeah.
Or Zinj Demons.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best one. The next one, though, is Segarak's Rose. +1 strength, so it's strength 4 for a Harlequin. But the damage is a flat 3 instead of D3. And you get to reroll wounds against infantry. Now, the reroll wounds, you might think, nah, well, the Troopmaster does that anyway. How many times has your Troopmaster kept up with your Solitaire? Not many.
No.
Stick this on your Solitaire, right? +1 strength. I mean, the Solitaire, if you blitz the Solitaire, right, he's moving 12 + 3d6, then charging. Right? Yeah. He's then got 10 attacks at strength 4, re-rolling his own wounds, hitting on 2s, and a flat 3 damage. Now, this makes him the character killer that he should have been.
Yeah.
Because I found before that I couldn't wound enough. Now, yes, the kiss is only -1, and most people would be like, nah, it's not really worth it. Realistically, though, he's going to be going after characters with a 4-pin fun, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that is a no-brainer on the Solitaire. So, out of all them, I would take the Rose. I would take, if I was building that way, the Suit of Hidden Knives, the Mask of Secrets, and there's a couple of the Star Mist Raiment. You know, there's 4 really good ones straight off the bat.
Yeah, totally.
But then we've got the specific mask ones as well. So the Midnight Chime, once per battle to get +1 attack whilst within 6 inches. I haven't wrote that down right.
No, that's right. +1. Yeah, no, within 6 inches of the bearer.
Right, that's why. Everybody within 6 inches of the bearer gets
everyone
+1
within 6
attack.
inches gets it.
So
potentially, I mean, it's slightly sad that it's once per battle.
Yeah.
But I think it might have been OP if it was for every fight phase.
Yeah. The next one is the mirror. What is it? The Mirror Staff. This is for the Veil Path only. Mirror Stave. It wounds on the target's ballistic skill when you shoot it, and wounds on the target's weapon skill when you're in combat.
Yeah.
So that is very handy, again, to take out characters, but it's Shadow Sayer only.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not one you're going to really pick, though.
No, because even if you go Veil Path, there's other stuff. If you go Veil Path, you're absolutely going to take the Suit of Hidden Knives. Yeah.
Oh, totally. I mean, that is nearly an auto take. Nearly. There's a few that you think, yeah, I want that, but yeah, you're not really going to take the stave.
Next up, we've got the Ghoul Mask for the Frozen Stars. Deny a sight and power and +1 to deny the witch. You're going to have Shadow Sayers in your army. I don't see the need for that.
Not really. I mean, the +1 deny is quite nice, but yeah, you're running probably 2 Shadow Seers anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Next up is for the Death Jester. It's for the Shriek. It's called Curtain Fall. Now, I want to think that this is really good, but I know Quirk on Mini Wargame played it a little bit wrong.
Did he, though? Because he's still playing it the same way.
Looters have 2 wounds. I've just confused you, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
When he played Orcs in 7th edition, he insisted that Looters had 2 wounds and they didn't. And it went on for months and months and months. So basically what this does, the Shrieker profile becomes -3, Strength 7. I'll put 1, then D3 Mortal or Assault 3, -2.
Yes, you've got the Shrieker mode, and then you've got the Shuriken mode.
Yeah, yeah. So it becomes -3 AP on the Shrieker mode at Strength 7. If you kill somebody, then it does D3 Mortal Wounds. Or Assault 3, minus 2 AP, and 1 damage for the what do you call it mode?
Yeah.
For the shuriken cannon. That in itself isn't great. It's better than a standard shuriken cannon because it's higher strength, better AP, but combine that with a stratagem later on, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. The next one is Falchu's Talon, which is the Soaring Spite specific one, which you mentioned, an extra 6-inch move, and your transports don't explode, and you don't lose models. The amount of times, James, that I've lost Star Weavers and then rolled 5 dice and rolled a double 1.
Yeah.
And that is why
everybody seems to roll double 1s on Harlequins when they get out.
Yeah, and I've spent command points on re-rolling them to keep guys alive.
Well, you need them. You need those extra attacks. That's the problem. You lose one, it's a blow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's frustrating. That's not a bad one.
And then the last one is the Veil for the Silent Shroud. Increase the wearer's aura by 3 inches. Sorry. So again, re-roll wounds within 9 is handy, but combine that with the first stratagem that we're going to talk about now, and it is the Great Harlequin.
Yep.
Reroll hit rolls of a 1 for a Troop Master. It's 2 command points at the start of the battle, but reroll hits of a 1. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's good. I quite like you're going to see a lot of people take the Great Harlequin one. Just use it.
Now, we were discussing before filming here, and we both agree that I think that missed a bit of a treat with this one. Grey Knight's got the Nemesis Grandmaster. The Grandmaster in Nemesis Dread Knight. There's no actual model for it, right? It's just a Dread Knight that's a Grandmaster. Why can't we could have had an extra entry in here, and it could have been a unique character like the Solitaire, and just said only one of this model can be chosen, and basically Troop Master with an extra attack or 2, right?
Yeah.
A few extra points, and he has the aura to reroll 1s. Don't spend the command points. The problem is there's so many cool stratagems. You want to spend the 2 command points on this. You probably already spent a command point on a relic. They could have just added this as an extra entry.
There's a few things they should have added, in my opinion. Like someone was saying on the forum about Shadow Seer on a jet bike. You know,
oh my word! Wow.
It's just so frustrating because it would have been easy to do. It would have looked awesome. And it just would have given us a few more options. You know, it's a very small codex model-wise and unit-wise. There's a few things I think they should have done, whether it was trying to get a flyer in for us or some sort of Wraith. I mean, I know Wraith contract's not as fluffy as some of the other things, but there's other things they could have done that would have just... Because they've set the precedent by doing it with the Grey Knights, and then nothing else really has sort of... with a couple of exceptions, has sort of come in. It's been a bit of a shame, I think.
I don't think anything else has done it.
I'm trying to think. I thought there was something, but I can't remember what it was. But that was awesome. When they did that, that was like, that is cool.
Yeah.
And this, I think, in my mind, is a perfect codex to have done something so you could have had a really cool kit bash model or converted model that would have looked awesome.
Do you know what? Right, you're making me want more Harlequins now. I'm probably going to need to get some more because I'm a little under.
I know I am already, and I haven't even finished the first lot yet.
The issue I've got is obviously GW is pumping out the releases so fast. And I mean, you've seen yourself how many videos I've tried to get out to keep up with the releases.
Yeah.
In conjunction with being at college and working full time, it's been a full-time second job keeping up. And now I'm honest, I'm kind of relieved that this is the last one for a while. We know nights are next. Rumor has it August. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, is it because they're concentrating on iOS next?
Yes. The issue I have with that is I also play OS.
Yes, you do.
and the starter set is going to be Death versus Stormcast, and I have a girlfriend that loves Stormcast.
Yeah, and that's June, isn't it? June?
It's going to be in June, yeah.
So not long.
Rumour says 9th of June.
Oh, bloody hell. That isn't long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's making me want to get into iOS. That and the Deepkin make me want to do it.
I've still got my daughter's a kind of here on my desk getting painted right now. But the issue is, I bought them on my birthday back in March. I spent like... Forgebane came out. I'm sure the Tau Codex came out then. And then all of the Daughters of Cain came out. So I got Morithai, I got 20 Canaries, 20 snakes, 2 boxes of blood coven, and then I bought two Start Collecting Slanesh boxes for Lucy, stole the Demonettes to make Sisters of Slaughter. And then I bought a Hydra. And Morothai's painted, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's the... I bought the Deepkin book, because I was that interested in it that I bought the book. I think the model, I know we're off topic, but the models are stunning.
Absolutely. Bryn, who I've played AOS with quite a bit, he's really loving AOS at the minute, and he's actually started them. He's done Lotan, the guy with the octopus.
Yeah.
And 10 Reavers so far. And he messaged me on Saturday morning, he was like, look what I've just picked up. 2 sharks and 6 eels. So I was like, yeah. Cool.
No, I think I'm going to give it a crack. I really want to do it. So it's going to be that, and I might wait till the new box comes out and start with them, and then just.
I feel like AOS was the stepping stone into 8th edition 40k. 40k at the minute is like AOS 2.0.
Yeah.
It's AOS with an extra layer of rules on top. But
is AOS going to get command points? Or
yes,
something?
It's already confirmed.
Okay.
And they have a rule now called Lookout, Sir, because you can just snipe characters.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got a Thunder Tusk that can do 6 mortal wounds at range 18 on a 2+, and most characters tend to have 6 or less wounds, it's not nice. So what they've said is, if a unit of 5 or more models is within 3 inches, it's -1 to hit them. I agree with that. I think that's better.
Yeah.
So
well, you got the Deacon already have the you can't target a character. I don't think for the Deacon.
I haven't looked at the book.
If they're within certain distance of the line units.
Well, we did buy the ship terrain piece. Oh yeah, Lucy did an amazing job of painting that up. Anyway, we're deviating what we're doing.
Massively, sorry. Yes.
Back to command points and stratagems.
Yes.
So,
yes.
There's a number of things that are very, very much the same as the Eldar and the Dark Eldar Codex. Haywire Grenade, 1 command point. D3 mortal wounds on a vehicle. Fire and Fade, move 7 inches after you've shot, 2 command points.
Yep.
Enhanced Reflexes, 2 command points, -1 to hit. Webway Assault, 1 or 3 command points, put units in reserve. The Great Harlequin, we've just discussed. Enigmas of the Black Library has taken extra relic or 2.
Yep.
Prismatic Blur was the one that was in chapter approved, so we know that if you advance, you can then get a 3-up invuln. Which
is useful. It's one you're going to use every now and again to save you.
Absolutely useful. Next one, Hero's Path. If you've got a Death Jester, Solitaire, and Shadow Seer, I think it's within 6 inches of each other. You can just pick them up and redeploy them on the board.
And they don't have to be together. You can redeploy them
anywhere
in separate, because it says each individual can go down. So that's actually potentially really, really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you can deliver that if you need the Solitaire across literally the other end of the board to get to a character. Chances are, 9-inch charge, it's still difficult, but you know what? If there's a chance that you can take the enemy Warlord out with the Solitaire by doing that,
it's another option.
Do it. You then getting your Death Jester within range, potentially with the same character, just to put a couple extra wounds on him. And then, of course, your Shadow Seer could potentially buff them or move somewhere else to buff another unit key on the battlefield. The next one, we've got Fiery Pit. If a character has lost a wound, it gains 1 attack and +1 strength. That is very handy. You know that Suicide Troop Master that we said about taking damage? Give him the extra attacks and strength.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, if your Solitaire's lost a wound, gain 1 extra attack and 1 extra strength. Suddenly, you're swinging at strength 5, which means you're wounded on 3s, re-rolling because of Segarac throws. And then, obviously, he's got 11 attacks if he's blitzed.
Yeah, that's a hefty chunk of punching.
Massively. The next one is Segarac's Jest. I like this. When an enemy unit falls back, shoot them.
Yeah.
Now, unless they've got fly, chances are they aren't moving more than 6 inches.
Yep.
Which means you can still hit them with your fusion pistols.
Yep.
So I think that's brilliant because, like,
really good.
I don't want to be in combat with the Harlequins. They hurt. I'll fall back. Okay, bang.
They still really hurt. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. And you imagine you're trying to pull back one of your bosses, one of your captains or something, and he's on his last couple of rounds. He just gets fusioned as he walks away.
Oh, best fusion pistol shot I have ever done, right, was, do you know Toby Lydiard? Plays Custodes.
Yeah.
He was my first game at No Retreat, right? Fantastic game. I rolled very, very badly, but I played well. I took out 2 of his Dreadnoughts, 1 of his Land Raiders, and most of the Custodes, right? He had, I had a Shadow Seer on 1 wound, a Troop Master on 1 wound, and a Wounded Starweaver floating around. Behind us, I had a Land Raider on 2 wounds, Grey Fax, and I think 2 Custodes in front of us. So I was like, I can do this. Psychic Phase. Smite. I'm getting this the wrong way around. Before that, the turn ahead, Grey Fax went to charge me Troop Master with a fusion pistol. He levelled his fusion pistol, rolled a 6. Grey Fax failed her. No, she hasn't got an invuln. I don't think she's got an invuln. And then because he was within 3 inches, it was 2d6 picked the highest, and I rolled a 5 and eviscerated her in Overwatch. But yeah, then it was my turn straight after that. Psychic Phase, I tried to smite the Land Raider. The amount of 6-ups he made because of Faith of the Emperor was unbelievable. But I perilled, and my Shadow Seer was on the last wound, so she blew up and killed my Troop Master as well. And I tabled myself. So, yeah, I think that is very, very good. There is 1 command point to redeploy an entire unit on the battlefield. I didn't get the name for that one.
Someone mentioned that today, actually. I don't know if I've got it down.
It's handy if you need to just move a unit to the other side of the board, for example. If you're a point or 2 behind on objectives, and you can just pull, you've got a troop or 2 left, pull them back, jump them on an objective. It's useful. It's
got potential, but they should be fast enough to get themselves out of dodge, or into dodge if they need to themselves. But yeah, there is potential there to snatch a couple of points at the end of a game, line breaker or something. Yeah. So anything really you can get. Yeah. So yeah, there's certainly potential.
The next one, we've got the Vestal of Fate. Basically, the Shadow Seer can cast another power, 1 command point.
Useful.
It is. She's casting 2. She knows 2 and smite. It basically.
And you've probably got 2.
Yeah, so I'm saying you can cast the 2 and then smite. If you need those extra couple of wounds with smite, it's there to use. 1 command point, Warrior Acrobatics, automatically advance 6 inches for infantry. It's alright, but you might as well just roll it and then see if you get a 6, and if you don't and you're desperate for it, you can command re-roll it because it's the movement phase.
Yeah.
6 and 2 3s. The next one, and I will be using this quite a lot in the battle report, hopefully. Mirthless Hatred. Reroll all hits and wounds versus Slanesh.
I mean, very situational.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, but brilliant when it comes into play.
Yeah, and I will absolutely be doing this. I will be getting, hopefully, first turn charge with some bikers. I will be using this, and I will be trying to get some close combat goodness in turn 1. And as if Harlequins don't hit hard enough, every book has this in one way or another, but 3 command points, War Dancers, fight again.
Yep.
So, yeah, not bad.
3 command points.
Suicide Troop Master at Mortarion again.
But yeah, it could well prove its worth, definitely.
Actually, spend the command point on the Solitaire if he's taken a wound for the extra attack. Give him Segarak's Roars and get him charged in somewhere. If he doesn't kill that Warlord, you might draw Assassinate, Kingslayer, and Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Instantly. That is absolutely worth spending them 3 command points then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If it's the right situation, I think people could just blow it on something stupid, but then that'd be their own fault. But yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you get that lined up, you get the right card draw, the right time, it's well worth it.
So, we've still got a few more when I get back to them. I've lost myself. Where 1 command point for the 6-inch heroic intervention. Very handy because obviously we know that the characters can dish out damage. Solitaire, Troop Master.
Yeah.
It's worth it if... Well,
to be honest, I would have expected that to have been a 2 command point.
Yeah, yeah.
I think 1's more than generous for that, because that's a potential game changer, really. You get it right, that's a real game changer.
The next one, we've got Isha's Weeping, +1 save till the end of the turn. This was the one that's really ambiguous, because it's when you lose a model, increase the save till the end of the phase, or the turn, whichever one it was. But how does that work? Because you have to take your 4+ saves first.
Yeah.
And
it might be just like FAQ, this one.
And then you spend a command point to +1 to the save to the end of the phase, but then you've already lost the model, so the chances are you're going to be dead.
But if you've got a big mob that are going in something and they lose 2 models, say, and you put it's even then.
Why is your opponent then going to shoot at them?
Yeah, he's not, is he? He's just going to shoot something else.
I don't understand that. I think that one will get clarification.
Yeah, I think it needs it. It sounds potentially good, but it depends exactly how you're supposed to use it, really.
Then we've got Labyrinthine of Laughs. Set a unit up from the webway gate when it's destroyed. We haven't discussed the webway gate, actually. So this is if you've got something in reserve and you're going to plan on bringing it through the webway, but your opponent kills the webway, you can still set them up for 1 command point. It's like Emergency Invasion Beam for Necrons.
Yep.
The next one is Midnight Sorrow, only 2 command points. No price too steep. Model gets to fight before it's removed. If it was a Chaos unit or a Solitaire, you can add 1 to the strength and attack characteristic. I think that's on characters only, I think it was.
I think so.
The next one is for the Veiled Path. A unit can heroic intervention, much like the Death Watcher's Black Shield.
That can be really useful.
That can be very, very useful.
Yeah, I can see that one being thrown out there if you're running that mask.
2 command points, Malicious Frenzy. Frozen Stars, add 1 to the wound rolls when the unit targets beast, infantry, or bikes. Now this is where you've got to be careful, because rerolls before modifiers.
I really don't like the whole modifier thing.
It's good in some respects, but I dislike it in some others. So obviously, if you're going against something that's toughness 5 or more, you're wounded on 5s, re-roll them, but then I've got the +1 to wound, so then I have to re-roll the 4s to begin with, but then I might not get as many 4s, which I have that problem with the Blood Angels because they get +1 to wound.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The next one is an example made for the Dreaming Shadow. This is the one for the Death Jester. So, in the shooting phase, each hit roll causes 2 hits, and on a 6+, it causes 3 hits.
Yeah.
But I think I can't remember how Quirk was doing it, but he was.
Well, what he was doing, he was giving the relic curtain fall to the Death Jester. Chuck in a stratagem, Shrieking Doom, for 1 command point, which is +1 strength plus D3 damage.
Yeah.
And then using an example is made. And for each hit successfully causes 2 wounds. For a 6, it causes 3 hits. And then I think, I wonder whether he was getting wrong. Is it D3 damage?
Well, either one, it ends up being D3 damage or 2 damage.
Yeah. So I think if it works the way he's saying it does, potentially. Oh, this is it, because this is what he was using it. So he was doing all of that, and then he was getting D3 mortal wounds because of the curtain fall per model killed.
Yes. So obviously, if you're using the Shuriken Cannon profile against 1 wound models,
yeah,
obviously it's -2 AP. It was 2 damage.
Yep.
And then obviously you're getting +1 strength. Your wounded marines on 2s, -2 for 2 damage. And then for each casualty caused, you're doing D3. But for every hit you're getting, it's 2. So there's a potential there of getting 6.
Yeah.
Obviously,
he was wiping, like, he devastated a whole unit of Plague Marines. He took out an entire, I think it was a 10-man, or 10 demon, Nurgle.
Plague Bearer.
Yes, Plague Bearer squad. And because of the -2, actually the last 2 ran away with morale because it puts -2 straight away on them on the leadership.
Yeah.
And they'd lost. I think they lost 7 models from that one. I think if it's played correctly and that is the way you do it, it makes Death Jesters viable.
But that's one specific build. In it, putting that to one side, yes, Death Jesters have come down in points again because they came down in chapter approved. I took mine to no retreat at 75 points, and I forgot about them half the time because I had 1. I took them because I had the spare points, and I wasn't going competitive. Now, at 45 points, they're an okay sniper. You know, the extra 3 shots, the -2 leadership. They've got a little bit of versatility, but I don't feel they're amazing at one job or the other. The problem is, the Shrieker profile is no good against the multiple wound model, whereas the Sheraton Cannon doesn't do enough against the multiple wound model. So I feel like it's a little bit...
Oh yeah, because you're not getting the D3 mortal wounds because you're not killing anything. Yeah, but I think, I mean, like watching it, I mean, I've seen it in 2 games, so you can't really judge its validity through the whole thing. But there is certainly potential there. I mean, it's 2 command points, which isn't extravagant. If you're running one and you've got, you're going to be running, say you're doing the 2 battalions. So what's that in command points now? Because you've got extra now, isn't it? So you're up to
13.
13. So with another Vanguard or something, you've got 14 points. Say you use 2 for relics, and it still leaves you a lot of command points.
You're gonna buy the Great Harlequin because if you've got 3 Death Jesters sat there, and then the Troop Master as a Great Harlequin, right? That in itself, them 3 Harlequins and the Troop Master running that detachment, right? Which one was it? The Sorrow?
Yeah, I think it was.
Dream and Shadow. No.
Yeah. No, Soaring. No, not Soaring Spite.
I don't even know which one it was now. There's too many different names for them.
I know. I haven't learned all the names yet. That's going to be the hardest thing. I still think there's some validity there for it. I think because I've seen people, a couple of battle reports where they've not used the Great Harlequin and it didn't hurt them massively.
No.
But using the Death Jester in that role helped them a lot.
I still think he doesn't.
I don't think he's over
enough.
No, I think it's one of those funny ones. I think some people are going to take him and love him, and he'll be an auto take for some people because they'll do well with it. And time after time, it will be doing what they want it to do. There's going to be people that are going to hate it because it doesn't. Oh, I only killed 2 things.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be one of those. I mean, I'm definitely going to. I've bought 2, so I'll be running 2 for a while until I get everything else. So I'm definitely going to be using that in some games because I think I can see potential in it. I think if you're, with the -2 leadership, and again, if you're hitting, I know we're going about you'd sort of tailor into the leadership side of things, but if you're using him to sort of mow into some screening infantry, he's going to open a path.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good chance he's going to open a big path. A load more are going to run, and your boys are going through the middle of it.
But not just that, he's still got Death That's Not Enough, where you cause the first, you choose the first one to run.
Yeah,
I have only ever managed to do this once, right? It was when I played Darren from Twisted Dice, and I was playing against these Zinch. Now, obviously, Sheraton Cannon's 1 damage, he had a 2-up save for days. And I actually forced a morale, because of the Death Jester, killing someone, and then a few other casualties in the squad. And I wanted to charge, and then bloody sorcerers have them warp flamers, which are pistols, which means they still shoot you in combat. And I was like, Darren, I'm really sorry, but remove that one. So that I can now charge it. Yeah, So I think that's the only time I can remember doing that to great effect. They're very hit and miss. I think they do need just a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I wonder whether it's something like if you've got a second one in your squad, they can combine and it's an extra -1 leadership or extra -2. So if they both target the same thing, they actually stack the leadership. Something like that would be, or a little bit more damage or a bit more minus AP. Well, I mean, it's the same with the. I mean, we'll talk about it later. It's the same with the Void Weavers, really. I mean, that's you're just not going to want to take it. But I do see potential there, and I think. I think people are gonna run it, and people are gonna do well with it.
Yeah. The next stratagem, where are we at, is Sky Stride for the Soaring Spite. Consolidate towards a transport, and if you're within 3 inches, you can re-embark.
That's good.
Yep. It's 2 command points.
Yep. Is it 2 or is it 1? I've got it.
No, sorry, it's 1. I'm reading the next one down. The next one is for Silent Shroud, 2 command points, and you can't overwatch them.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, you don't necessarily need to take the Relic. You can afford to take others, but it's 2 command points.
I think the Relic. So if you've got it with another one, you've spent 2 command points, but you've got 2 relics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'd rather do that. To be honest, I know it sounds a bit dull, but you can get a better combination of effects.
Absolutely. The next one, or the last one that we've got, is 1 command point for Webway Ambush using the portal. You can get 2 units out of it in your turn, or you can bring 1 unit out that is within 3 inches and more than an inch away from enemy models. 1 command point to deploy an inch away is good. Smart players who are fast with hordes will surround it so you can't bring anything out.
Yeah.
Or shoot it.
I don't like the whole portal thing anyway, but we'll get to that.
It should. I don't understand, especially now with the big FAQ rules. To be honest, though, Harlequin Codex is probably printed before the big FAQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can't argue about that, unfortunately.
It may get FAQ'd later to give them more an advantage with it, but it needs something else than what it does for the point it is.
So it is a fortification. It's toughness 8 with 14 wounds, with a 3+ save, and it's a 5+ invulnerable save. It is a mobile, so obviously enemies can auto hit it in combat, but you can still shoot at units that are within an inch of it. But essentially, when you set the model up, it has to be more than 12 inches away from the enemy's deployment zone. So okay, let's look at this. How far is the gap between my deployment zone and your deployment zone, James?
Don't ask me that. I can't remember stuff like that. You put me on the spot.
It's between 24 and 18 inches, depending on the deployment type.
Yeah, because you've got all the variety of ones.
So I have to be at least 12 inches away from you, which means I am just outside of my deployment zone. What's the point?
I know. I watched Quirk do it yesterday. I think it was the day before in their first battle report, and he got it pretty much halfway up the board, but it then just got blown up.
Yeah.
So he had to spend a command point to get everybody out. Because he had a big bob of I think 12 Harlequin troop in there, and I don't like it. No. I don't. Right. The Nurgle tree thing that basically does the same sort of thing, doesn't it? You can bring.
I don't know. I think it gives you like a cover save if you're within 7, and you can run and charge if you're within 7. It's not the same thing though.
Around it.
Sorry.
Can you not bring demons in around it?
I don't think so.
Damn. Because I was trying to work out what was the point. What's the points for that though?
Well, funnily enough, because I've got the battle report ready to go, I've got the Demon Codex here.
Just out of curiosity, because.
But then when you look at like the Tau stuff, the gun rig, for example, is like 120 points still.
Yeah.
But that's not great. But I love taking it. Where is it? Heavy support. Feculent Narmor, 50 points.
And that gives buffs, right? Doesn't it?
After it's set up, it's treated as a terrain feature. It cannot move. It is not treated as friendly or enemy models. Can't be targeted or affected by any attacks or abilities. Shroud of Flies. All Nurgle demons except vehicles and monsters that are completely within 7 receive the benefit of cover, but you add 2 to the saving throws instead of 1. But that's because they've got most of them have a 6-up save and a 5-up influence, so it brings it to a 4-up save. Sickness blossoms at the start of your turn. Roll a d6. Any unit that is within 3 on a 4+ suffers 1 mortal wound, but on a 6 it takes d3. Nurgle units are unaffected. Plague bells chime. Nurgle demon units that are within 7 at the start of the turn can shoot and/or charge this turn, even if they fell back or advanced. Conduit to Nurgle's domain. You can re-roll any of the dice used in the summoning pool when a chaos character from your army is within 7 of an Ormar and attempts to summon a unit of Nurgle demons.
That's pretty good for 50 points.
Yeah, and you can deep strike it.
Yeah, so you've got that for 50 points, and you've got, you can put something, you can get one thing out a turn, which that's, I think that's the kicker. That's what I don't like. I think it limits
spend
you.
Spend a command point and get 2 out, but you've got to set them up 9 inches away. The problem is your opponent is going to be around it on turn 1.
Yeah, it'll be dead. 9 times out of 10, that'll be dead turn 1.
I think
if you've got 2 things in it, you can only get 1 out on a command point, can you?
You spend 1 command point to bring 2 out, but they've got to be 9 inches away. Or
if it's
blown up. If it's blown up, you can get 1 out, and that's it.
So if you've got 3 things in there and he gets blown up, you can get 1 thing out.
Yeah.
So if you've got 3, I mean, okay, I don't know why you would, but say you've got 3 Star Weavers with troops in, you've you've lost a lot of points. I don't think it's worth it.
No, I think the FAQ
easily mitigated.
I don't think the FAQ is going to change it. Well, the FAQ is going to be around about chapter approved anyway. I think chapter approved will change it. Because if you look at all of the... me and Lucy played, when we did the narrative missions, we actually played with a lot of the scenery rules. And I'll hold my hands up, I was at my death because I really hadn't read them. And they were vastly different to what they were in the index.
Yeah.
Point changes. The Void Shield changed drastically because people were spamming Gulliman and 9 Storm Ravens and a Void Shield. Obviously, that's impossible now because 1 rule of 3, boots on the ground... and spam.
I think it needs to either give a debuff to the enemy or a buff to units around it.
Do you know what would be really cool? And me and Lucy's going to play this because you know the Eldritch Ruins that you can get?
Yeah.
Like the forest things with the 2 runes on.
Yeah.
+1 to psychic
test. Something like that. +1 psychic or -1... You're +1. You're counted as in cover if you're nearby because of the nature of the warp energies, or you've got your +1 if you're Eldari to psychic phase casting, -1 to anybody else trying to cast nearby. Something like that makes it worth 120 points.
Tyranid Shadow in the Warp. Do that.
Yeah, anything. It just needs something else. It's just. Otherwise, you're only really going to buy it for a nice bit of scenery, realistically, I think.
And I'll hold my hands up. I've ordered one. Obviously, filming the battle report, mine isn't built or painted yet. I've got a wooden one. I bought a long time ago. It's
a lovely model.
It is. And I've ordered one because I love it.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And I think that's all. The sad thing is that's all you'll really see that for. And that was our only new unit.
Yeah.
Was something that you just... Unless they do something relatively special with it, you're just not going to use it. There's no point.
I think they definitely missed out on making a Great Harlequin entry.
Yeah.
It didn't need much. Have them move 9 inches. Give them +1 attack. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been hard. You can come out, move, and advance. You can do something. You can come out and, I don't know, something... On the turn you come out, you've got +1 attack. Mm-hmm.
Something that just gives it a bit of like, right, actually it's 120 points, but if I chuck my Solitaire in there and a massive blob of caress wielding Harlequin troops and a troop master, that's worth it coming out of there.
Oh yeah,
that's worth it. We'll smash something with that, and you'll destroy something, but it'll be worth 120 points then. It's either got to be 50 points and you can get 2 units out a turn, potentially, or it's got to do a buff or debuff, I think.
Not just that, the thing is as well, you can't even use it turn 1.
No, of course you can't. Yeah, so it's irrelevant from but then it should be you shouldn't be able to target it for turn 1.
It's if you're not going first, your opponent has 2 turns of shooting and combat to take it down.
He's only got a 5-up invul. It'll go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll go. I watched it go. It did, and he had to burn a command point. Well, in that case, if you burnt a command point to get your unit out before they died, you might as well have kept 120 points and got another unit, and just put that unit in deep strike through that.
Via the Webway Assault one?
Yeah, by the Webway Assault.
I don't think we're going to see a change in the Harlequin FAQ, but I think in chapter approved we'll see a change. Yeah,
I think you're probably right. I think they need to have a think about it as well. Because hopefully people are going to be constructive with the criticism on it and not just go, oh, it's rubbish. There's no point using it. You need, if you're going to criticise it, you've got to come up. You've got to cite reasons why, and you've got to come up with good alternatives. No, not daft alternatives, but just a selection of alternatives that they can actually look. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
because they're listening now.
Absolutely, I think obviously I do try and help out where possible, and I do email the 40k FAQ at gwplc.com is the email address, and I did send quite a few questions in to about the Death Watch stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be putting in about this one and that stratagem. The strategy seems a little bit silly. I do think this needs a little bit of a change. I've just realised we haven't even discussed points.
To be honest, the points should be relatively quick.
Yeah, so our Death Jesters dropped from 75 in the index to 60 in chapter approved to 45 in the codex.
Good drop.
Shadow Seers are 125. Did they change?
I don't know. I don't think they did. I think they stayed the same.
2 seconds. I've got the points here.
I believe.
I'm going to find them.
I don't think there's anything. I've written down everything that's changed. Solitaire went down.
No, there were 134, so they've come down.
Oh, they have come down?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Skyweavers have dropped to 30 from 35. The Solitaire dropped to 84 from 94.
That's quite good.
Starweaver still 79.
It should be cheaper.
Troops came down by 2 points, but technically 3 if you use the blade. Because the blade is now free. Which
it needed to be.
Yeah. Troop Masters went to 70 from 59.
Yeah.
59 was very, very cheap for what they did.
Yeah. And I think it's only an 11-point increase. I think it was either they were going to go up or Fusion Pistols were going to go up.
Yeah. Void Weavers didn't change. Still 68.
That's a shame.
But obviously Void Weavers, I think they are a little more viable now that Prismatic and Haywire are assault weapons.
Yeah.
Because
you're not going to take Prismatic, really. You're going to take Haywire.
Well, I'm running 3 Prismatic because I've got some bikes with Haywire. But in general, the bikes came down by 5, but the Zephyr Glaive dropped from 11 down to 6. So 10 points overall. Because let's face it, as much as the Star Bolos increased in damage by 1, you're never going to take it because it's a grenade. Therefore, you can't shoot your shuriken cannon.
Yeah, so what's the point?
Exactly. And then even then...
It should be an addition. It should be an additional range attack, I think.
Yeah, it shouldn't be grenade. It just simply shouldn't be grenade.
Yeah.
For the Harlequins, there's 2 guys. One's driving and shooting. The other one's on the back, heat and throw. Yeah.
You should just make it an additional attack.
The Kiss and Caress are now 7 points each. I know one of them dropped to, I think, 9 points in chapter approved. I think it was the Kiss.
Yes,
it was 14 in the index, and that's what I used to play it as. So for me, I've literally took the same army I took to No Retreat, right? Apart from I've got 2 more Death Jesters, I have more Fusion Pistols, and a Webway Gate. Because of all the points drops.
Mad. I think we've done crazy well. I think we were talking before, the Star Weaver, like I said, fully kitted out Venom is 24 points less than a Star Weaver, and I don't think it's. I think it should have come down by a few points. I definitely think the Void Weaver still needs the weapons looked at to a degree, or a points drop.
I think the Star Weaver and the Void Weaver do need to come down slightly, but then the issue people will have is, well, it's -1 to hit, and it's got 4 bin bun, and it's got transport capacity 6. Fair enough. I admit it does have a couple of things on the Venom. But when you look at the Void Weaver, look at a Ravager. 125 points for a toughness, the Ravager's toughness 6. It's got a 5 up invulnerable save, and it's got 9 strength 5, -3 2 damage attacks for, what is it, 18 points more? 17 points more.
It's mad. Why are you ever going to take it? Avoid with. You're just going to ally in. You're going to ally in Drakari and do that. That's probably my next buy.
I would absolutely drop my 3 Void Weavers, right, and a few other bits and pieces to take an Archon and 3 Ravagers in a Spearhead, go Cabal of the Black Heart, take the Writ of whatever it's called for the reroll 1s to wound, reroll 1s to hit, and take 3 Disintegrator Ravagers. And
like we were saying earlier, you've massively spread your threat then, because you've got Harlequins in your face and they all do damage.
Yeah.
They, even that you do well in your Shuriken, you're going to be forcing them to save on -3 AP. Is it when you hit on a 6?
Yeah, -3.
So there's and you obviously you're pumping out fusion even at sort of not long range but longish range. You're hitting on a D6, and then you've got the Ravagers in the backfield planting out all that Daka. It's going to cause a load of issues. I think that's a strong-ish competitive build for Harlequins. Or you're going to be taking oh God, I can't remember the name of the fighter, the one that does the psychic fighter for the Eldar.
Oh, the Hemlock.
Yes, you're going to be taking Hemlocks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's and then again you've got that, but that's building it to your leadership. Your minus leadership bubble, but still, I think I'm probably going to go the Dark Elder route and get the Ravagers because I think that it's just a powerful combination, and it's not like early on when if you did that you'd have a tiny group of Harlequins. You're still going to be able to pump out a fair few Harlequins now with the points drops.
I mean, how much is what's that? 375 plus 70, 25. 40, what's that? 445?
Don't you dare ask me to do mathematics on the phone.
I'm the accountant, I should know. Yes, it's 445. You know, for 1,500 points, you're still going to get a lot of Harlequins.
Yeah.
Look, the army I've got on the table right now, right, is 324 points for the 3 Weavers, and then 120 for the Gate. Oh look, I'll just take 3 Ravagers and Archon instead.
Yeah, and you go. It's almost a no-brainer. I think I really would have liked to have seen the Void Weaver become a suitable counter or a suitable alternative to allying in. I'm trying to figure out what they could best do. Points drop is the obvious answer, but it would be nice if the focus beam. What is the focus beam now? Is it just one shot, or is it like D3? I can't remember.
It's one shot, D6 damage -4.
So if like the focus, I know it's like they're not a focus, but if that was like D3 and the other was D6, it's something to make it more viable. Something actually that's probably worth taking, and then you could keep it at the points it is. If it did something else, or I don't know, 2D3 plus 1 for the non-focused one, and just D3 for the focused, or something, or even 2 shots with the focused. Just something that makes it go. Actually, that's pretty good. It's worth the points now. But just again, it's another trick they've missed. You just don't often say. I mean, I know you play them a fair bit, and I think Lawrence played them in there, but they just didn't really do much. I mean, he had the Haywire on the bites, which was fairly effective, even though he didn't roll particularly well. The Void Weavers did okay, but they just then died because they've not got the survivability.
Yeah. So I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential, but I think Void Weavers still don't quite have a place. There's so much other good Eldar stuff that you can take.
Yep, totally.
But very, very fun. The stratagems, the relics, the warlord traits. There's so many variations of what you can build and run.
Yeah, definitely. You can use a Death Jester now, and it can be worth it.
Could be.
I'm still saying it. could be. But I think you're going to see it.
So that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the review and insight into things. Thank you, of course, very much to James for joining me with this.
Pleasure.
Please check out the rest of the channel and, of course, the rest of the Harlequin stuff that will be up this week, including a basing tutorial and magnetization tutorial. And if you are able to do so, it would be fantastic if you could support us via Patreon to, of course, help us keep up with the releases. But James, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure, buddy. Enjoyed it.
And thank you very much, guys, and we will catch you again soon.